Today's video is sponsored by FluxPools.net, the official pool of the development team behind Flux. FluxPools is excited to announce their miner appreciation program. FluxPools will be giving 5 lucky miners on their pool $50 in Flux every week for the next 46 weeks. On top of that, there will be 0% pool fees on mining and parallel assets till October 14th. Guess what pool I have my Flux rigs on? That's right, FluxPools. Full details on FluxPools weekly lottery down below in the description. Thanks again to FluxPools.net for supporting the hobbyist miner community.
There, gotta move it.
Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah,
then we don't look like we're on a date.
Cheers.
Cool. Cheers. What's going on, guys? Hobbyist Miner here, and I am joined by a special guest today. I'd like to introduce you to Dan Keller from Flux. What's up, Dan?
What's going on, guys? Man, it's good to see you.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, we were trying to get this thing together for a while, and man, I tell you, just our schedules. Well, my schedule. My schedule wasn't hitting, and I'm glad we finally got it to get it together. So
yeah. So Dan and I aren't too far apart, and we found a nice little town in between the two of us that we're meeting at right now. Top secret, undisclosed location.
Undisclosed.
And we found a bar and we're having a drink, and we thought, oh, let's go ahead and record it, hang out, and shoot the shit. So we're gonna hang out, talk for a little bit, and then we're going to do some questions for Dan here as the second part to this video series that we picked up on Twitter and YouTube. But we thought it'd be fun to kind of fire some questions back and forth, but I thought, let's let him start.
Yeah.
So what questions?
It's nice because everybody's always asking me the question,
yep.
You know, so it's nice to actually, and you know, you said an undisclosed location, somebody's searching leopard print.
What bar has,
I mean, like, what was that? What was it, Shia LaBeouf that got, yeah. The we will not be divided.
I don't think we have that following.
Yeah,
hopefully we don't.
You know, I don't know. So, well, yeah, and I have questions for you too,
sure.
Because I mean, it's a nice opportunity to sit down and talk to somebody who's like, I'm a bit jaded. I've been in the space for quite a while, so it's nice to have some kind of like fresh blood that's going. Is this your first bear market?
It is. It is. This is my first bear market. I'm not experienced it. I literally came in 2 years ago, when it was like the hype of the hype. I came in February 2 years ago, and it was like you could plug in anything and mine on it, and it was profitable.
Oh yeah,
and it was awesome.
And
so then like I remember coming in, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna mine. I remember my first YouTube video because I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a content creator first, and then miner is part of that. And my first YouTube video, my friend had given me like a Veta frame with like GPU risers and a motherboard that I had no clue what it was. Later I found out it was a B250, so it was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
My first video was with an iPhone, like, hey, here, check out my stuff. I'm gonna start mining on it.
I think I'm gonna do something with this.
And I didn't even have any graphics cards, and I had nothing to mine with. But I was like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. And yeah, 3 months later, I mean, I had 5K subs, and I was like, this is awesome. Now, fast forward ahead to where we are now, it's like, oh shit!
Like, I gotta show you something.
This bear market's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
What is like? Well, I have a couple things to unpack there, but sure. I wanted to show you this. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of like my same journey, and I actually carry this on my keychain.
Okay.
This is the very first ASIC chip that I ever mined a Bitcoin with.
Wow, look at that. That's cool. Yeah, I can
you guys can see it. If you remember the ASICs, there they are. So
good for you. So it shows OG-ness right there. Really.
I guess. I don't know. So I am selling these keychains. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right. Buy now.
I have a big bin of those ASICs. So like, as you started to come into the space and you started to like fall down the rabbit hole, I affectionately call it, right?
Yep.
What's the biggest change that you've seen in the period of time that you've been here? Because you came in probably starting into the bull run, and now we're going into a bear market. So like, what's the biggest change you're seeing? Yeah,
so I think as a point of reference for people, my time period was around like the Elon Musk Dogecoin pump, when like all of a sudden it kind of hit more mainstream at that point. I think some of the things I've seen, the biggest things have changed within there is like coming into it then versus now. I mean, man, sentiment is totally different. Like then everybody's like, yeah, we're making money, we're mining, I can't get cards. But when you get a card, everyone's happy for you and stuff. And then through that time period, getting to where we are now, the scene now feels this big, which I know is like not accurate to like where it used to be. Like I talk with so many different people. I love the Meet the Miners series I do because I talk with all different miners, and I've talked with guys who've been doing it for 5, 8, 10 years, and they go back, and those guys are the guys where like, no, like, you know, the scene was like really that big, and it just seems so small now as a bear market versus on the bull run, it's like everybody you knew was trying to get into crypto mining. And so that's the biggest one that I've seen. It's like, it feels like, especially as a content creator, I think you see that, but like it just feels like it's really small right now.
Once you've been through like a bunch of cycles, you'll start to find these like key pieces that like set you off when we might be at the top. That moment was probably, for me, was probably around the same time that you came into the space this last bull market, because I was sitting at the house and my wife comes home and she says, you know, hey, what is this Doji coin?
Doji coin.
And I'm like,
that's awesome.
I'm like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, the lady that does my nails, she just bought a whole bunch of this Doji coin. And I like literally, right at that point, it's like liquid exit all the markets. You know what I mean?
And it's smart. It really is, because like, it's funny, like as time has gone on, like I was talking with my mother-in-law last night when we were talking about just like Bitcoin. She was trying to understand it because she had heard about it with the FTX and all that type of stuff. And the fact that like crypto is becoming more mainstream, for those not familiar, it's like just when crypto starts to become a household name. Like when different things, it's like the same thing. It's like when Flux becomes a household name versus where it is now. It's like Bitcoin is more of a household name and Dogecoin is more of a household name because one, Bitcoin I think has been around for longer, but also for the fact where it's just hit like news channels. I mean, when you take somebody like Elon Musk and you connect it with a crypto, and then not only are you seeing it on social, but now it's being talked about on mainstream media. That's when, like, I think when you're talking about too, when it's just like, oh,
you start to hit that parabolic top, and then it's just like, this is where. So now that you've seen that, like that first cycle, and you're coming in here. Now we're in this trough, right? Does it scare you?
It doesn't scare me because I think because I've educated myself long enough to be like, okay, this is just another run. Like it's going to come, it's going to go. I thought I was the only one who used ebbed and flows, so I'm happy to hear someone else.
No, it does, man. And, it perfectly describes it.
That makes it a little bit easier to swallow a little bit, to go, okay, this is a period of time, and there'll be another period of time that I came into, and the fact that I saw the one, and now I've seen like the bull run, and now I'm experiencing a bear market. There's so many things I look back on, and I'm like, oh, I should have done that differently. And that's something that I run into a lot.
Well, and you know, I think we don't do a very good job in this space of being like stewards of history, right?
Correct.
Like educating new users that come in that this is part of the process. Like, you know, I try to do it as much as I can because there's a lot of, you probably don't, you were the hash wars, you know, the big blockers, all that kind of stuff. Like those are all like really important events that have happened in the growth of this space, and we don't necessarily do a good job of relaying that to the younger folks. And a lot of times we don't have a chance because when the cycle comes, you know, and it goes
frenzy.
It's like everybody says, you know, about Flux. I'm like, my favorite time to build is in the down cycle, is in the bear market. Why?
Smart.
Because I don't have to worry about price. I don't have to worry about.
Just checking in.
We're doing great.
I think we're doing good.
Thank you.
We're gonna be like, let's say another 20 minutes to half hour, then we'll order dinner, we'll eat, and then we'll finish up the next part of it. That's okay. Thank you so much. So no, that's part of the, you know, those ebbs and flows, like, you know, that, I forget where I was at, so we'll just have to pick it up from there.
No, it's fine. No, it definitely makes sense. I mean, I think it's something that I look at is like, the only thing I look at from talking with a lot of other individuals like you who have been in the scene is like a big indicator now is like, unfortunately, it's like the perfect storm for this bear market. It's like, okay, it started from you know, unfortunately, COVID was a big indicator, pushed our just economies all over the world into a recessionary state. You have inflation occurring, and then, oh, by the way, that coin that everybody was profitable on is going proof of stake, which I still feel is a blessing, but as a home miner is definitely like, it's painful because now it's like, oh, not only is the economy hurting, but we're now going to take the most profitable item that you mined for the longest time, and we're going to rip that from you at the exact same time. So like, that's the only thing when I look back on like the market Now, granted, most of it was involved with Bitcoin and Litecoin and things like that, but when I look back on it and I'm talking with different people, that's the one thing that was different. It was like, just like, unfortunately the stars aligned and it was just like the worst storm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you see a lot of, I think there always needs to be a washout for your bear market to really be full. But one thing that I am noticing and is this cycle is much quicker than the other ones, and that's
okay. Well, that's
to me that signals adoption because you know, the first bear market I went through it felt like forever, right? And it was forever. It was years, and then you had then you go to 2017 we had a full bull market. It's 2018. Then it was from 2018 to like 2020, but all along while that process was happening, we were seeing people build. Okay. And now you're seeing that even more, like at this FTX debacle to the side. I think that was a washout. I think that was a washout.
Yeah.
Could there be another big event? Maybe. This may be it. And I'm really honestly impressed with all the communities and all the projects that have stuck around and continue to keep building out, because you're seeing
innovating too. Is the
innovating,
big one.
building out. I mean, you know, like with Flux, I can only speak because I only work with Flux, but you know, people always ask us, they're like, well, what's this mean to Flux? And it's like, no, this is the best thing that could have happened to us.
Sure.
I mean, we got Ethereum out of the way. They're gone to proof of stake. Which they're a nation stake.
They almost created blinders for the community though. Like Ethereum, it was just like ETH.
Set it and forget it.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yep.
And then we saw a massive influx, no pun intended, of people who actually started to educate themselves, because that you know, like that, like you said, that safety net that they had utilized went away. Yep. And now we've got to go out and find who is the next Ethereum. Well, we're not the next Ethereum. We're the first.
It didn't exist for anybody. Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because like I personally, as a home miner, like, and coming into the space 2 years young, like Ethereum was like okay, this is where I'm going to put my cards, my 6 gig and more cards, because they were the most profitable and it was great. But then everything else was kind of that like altcoin that you could kind of try to profit off of. But after Ethereum went to proof of stake, it was very much like okay, what are these other projects doing? Which I never asked that question.
Use case. We have to
I never looked at like, what problem is it trying to solve, and does that add longevity, and do I go ahead and put my cards on it? Because now that's exactly the case. In a bear market, it's like, where do I put my hardware or my operating costs, because that's what it goes to. Where do I put it? And I have faith in this project down the road, versus it is a gamble. Like, do I put it in this project, another project, outside of Flux, and then it's like, oh wait, that project isn't even around anymore, and then that crypto's worth 0, and it's like, damn, like it's wasted expense. And so that's the one thing I find as a home miner, and just within the space, where it's like I'm educating myself on like, well, what projects is Flux doing, or what is 𝐼𝐼 doing, or other of these projects. It's like, because then it kind of lets me know like, ooh, it's almost like if you look at traditional investments, you're like, okay, like I'm going to invest into this portfolio, this fund, this market, because they're working on this and it's coming down the road. That's no different than crypto. It's the exact same thing.
It kind of goes back to the analogy, you know, and VCs do this a lot. You invest in the people, not necessarily the project.
Sure.
But with crypto, I think it's even a step further. You invest in the intellectual property of the project by putting your resources into it. So you're actually, I mean, you're not going to go have it into the board meeting at GE and talk about it, but you're going to come into Discord and you're going to talk about it with us. So, and we iterate much quicker because we have that community input. So it's not. It's a great place to be. Sometimes, like with community, we find, you know, a lot of challenges, because what the community wants is, you know, they want the price to go up, they want this, they want this, they want this, right?
Dan, why can't you make it cheaper to mine but more profitable so I can cash it out and liquidate it?
Yeah.
Why can't you do that? Why can't you move mountains, Dan?
Well, and you know, and the crazy part is, and maybe you've seen this as well, is, you know, after ETH left and we had you had Flux and 𝐼𝐼 and Raven and all these other ones. Those rigs are still running. I mean, the majority of those people are on Flux and stayed on Flux. I mean, they're, you know, the ebbs and flows comes back and forth. But people are willing to put their time, effort, and talent into supporting a project that they actually believe in. You know, I had an experience the other night where somebody came in and they asked a question in Discord, and I responded to it, and they're like, "Whoa, is this like Dan, like the guy, they were just blown away.
Yep.
That you can come into our Discord and you can get, me or, Parker or Trunk or Davey or
all these people
Greg
that you
or
see and hear about. Yeah.
They're real. They're real people. They're right there. So I think that's probably the biggest thing I learned from the bear markets is you start to put your investments in time and material and your effort in projects you believe in. And that's honestly that's why Flux was born. I was tired of chasing other projects that I didn't agree with.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
And that's how we ended up getting together and saying let's do our own thing. And that was
very cool.
That was cool. So I have another question for you.
No, go for it.
Okay, so obviously you're probably seeing maybe less viewers of your content.
Sure.
Taking the hits that way. So what's your plan for the next 6 months to a year to get through this bear market?
Sure. Well, it's funny you say that because literally this morning I was on the phone with my power supplier. And that's an issue I run into, negotiating that and figuring that out.
Oh, yeah.
In Pennsylvania, it's nice because you can shop your supply side, but your delivery side is locked in.
Yep.
And so for me, I've always taken advantage of these unlimited plans, which allow you to pay a fixed price for that left side, that supply side, which is really where you save the most money.
Yes.
And after, I'd say going back about a year and a half ago, I found one of these for the very first time, and I thought it was a gamble. I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work out, but let's see. And literally I was paying $69 for a flat rate, and I had pumped up to 10,000 kilowatt hours, and it was I still was paying $69 for one side and $300 for the other. So when I walked away, it was a $400 electric bill, and I was singing.
Yeah.
Well, that comes up to now because I just got kicked off of my electric supplier last night. They called me up and they're like, hey, you went through your 2 months of trial with us, and they give you $59, and the third month they're like, and then we're gonna rate you based off of your usage.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, shit. Came back, they're like, it's gonna be $1,055 for just the left side. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to keep looking type of deal. So I actually found one, swapped back over to it. So I'm hoping everything goes well, because if it does, I'll be back down to 5 cents, which is awesome. 5 cents for everything.
5 cents is sick, everything. Sick, yeah.
And that allows me to mine. But between yesterday and today, I powered off everything. But I have one GPU rig running Flux, and then other than that, I have my my Bitcoin miners, and I have some L3s going, and some other lower wattage stuff. So I have about 100 GPUs off right now, type of deal. And so where I'm at, we're kind of waiting it out. But for the next 6 months, that leads into it, because unfortunately, it's really sad that I'm willing to keep my rigs on, even if they're 5 cents or -3 cents, especially with something like Flux, because I'm looking for the parallel assets and everything like that, with snapshots and all. With the other cryptocurrencies that you mine, you don't get that. You don't get that loyalty value.
You're basically mining in the past, the present, and the future.
Correct, exactly. You mine now, and Dan says, hey, we're adding 10 more parallel assets. I'm like, show me the money, let's go. And so, but on the flip side, the thing is over the next few months, it's man, I hate to be where so many other miners are. So I feel bad for them, where it's everything's off, because it's yeah, my electric's 40 cents, and it's holy cow, now you're talking a ton. So the next 6 months, if things work out, I'll continue mining, which will be fine, which will work out well. But you actually mentioned about views on YouTube and stuff like that. It is I would say now, based off of what I'm seeing, I've chatted with other big content creators. We all kind of talk a lot. There's this kind of little inner circle. All of us are down maybe 1/10. We're down to 1/10 of where we were when it comes to viewership. And we talk about it where it's the crypto interest isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Or people go into this hibernation mode where they're
that's what it is.
Where they're okay, I'm either gonna sell or pack up my stuff, and then I'm unsubscribing. We're seeing this mass unsubscribe exodus occurring.
Well, you don't want to be reminded of.
That's exactly what
I bought a shit ton of Dogecoin or whatever, and now I don't want to be reminded of this every single day.
To give people metrics, we've seen negative 100 subscribers a day that you're seeing. And so when you're coming out with content, you're getting some new in, but you're losing a lot more. So I'm very stagnant across the board, and I'm very transparent about that with people, but all of us are seeing that, where it's people are not only disinterested, but they're disengaging.
Yeah.
Because they're chasing profitability, and when it's not there's nothing wrong with that, but they don't want to be reminded of oh, Dan's still mining, but I'm not.
Yep.
And so I don't even want anything to do with it. And so it's definitely a commonality that we're seeing across the board from a content creator side, but it also it's definitely reminds you of the bear market is if everybody I've talked to is if you can stick with it and keep going through,
you just plow through.
You're going to come out the other side.
I was mining ETH when it was $1.
Really?
You know
Wow,
what I mean?
that's
like,
crazy.
You know, I mean, so it's funny because I actually have like a whole process of gauging where we're at in these cycles. And one of those is I call them the influencer picks.
Sure,
okay?
sure.
So I have, on my YouTube, I have like every single influencer that I, you know, you and Son of Tech and, you know, all the guys out there that are doing awesome content. And I look at the picks. I just scroll through and I look at the picks. And if it's like somebody screaming like this, or they're beating something up, or they're angry, like Ryan Matta does that crap all the time. He's like, you know, like
I subscribe to him. I enjoy his stuff.
So when I see that, I'm like, yeah, we're still in the bear market. We're still in the bear market. Yep.
Until people are smiling,
and then they'll be like, I'm making $1 billion off of this thing. You know what I mean? It's like, then they're happy again.
Yeah.
So, but I know it's kind of a joke, but those metrics are real.
Yeah.
And what I would say to people that are out there and they're listening to this and they're in pain right now and they're a miner is understand that this is secular. These things happen in cycles, right? And as just like labor pains, as we get closer to mass adoption, these cycles will continue to keep going quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And I'll be honest with you, this FTX stuff, which is, I'm really happy that it happened.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not happy that people lost money.
It is bringing a lot to like public light, like that mainstream media. It's forcing it.
Well, let's get back to basics. Like, you know, for the very first time, I was watching TV the other day, and I heard somebody talking about, I think it was MSNBC.
Okay.
Somebody was on there, and I want to say it's the guy from Stripe, Jack. I think.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yep.
And he gave a perfect synopsis of why, you know, we got to get back to decentralization, although he's a maximalist, right?
Sure,
so,
but the underlining message is still the same.
It's the same, right? You know, one thing that really pisses me off when I see a lot of these videos from a lot of these maximalists is they're attacking other crypto assets instead of going after the financial system that put them in that place in the first place.
Oh yeah.
I mean, FTX was basically legacy Web 2 infrastructure that came in to crypto and did the same practices that they do on Wall Street. But guess what?
Oh yeah.
They didn't have the liquidity to pull it off.
I forget there was a podcast I listened to a while ago. I love listening to podcasts, like as you said, like driving and stuff like that. And I forget the guy's name, but this is literally the staple of what this guy did, where he's created a company in the financial district that went ahead and took people's investments and then used those to reinvest in its own kind of deals. And then he actually fudged the numbers in order to make it look like
Shocking.
it. And I can't remember who it was. It was years ago. But as I'm hearing, like on the way here, I was listening to a podcast breaking down some of the FTX stuff. Because every day it's like you learn something new and it gets integrated. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is literally like he read the book by this guy and just followed the exact same.
Was it Bernie Madoff?
It was Bernie Madoff.
It's
Holy
Bernie
shit.
Madoff. So you got to go back and look at it.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the name.
You got the Bernie Madoffs. You got the Enrons. You got the MCI Global, I believe it was. All these. The recipe for this, like, we're gonna do. There's actually a really good documentary called The Smartest Guys in the Room. And it talks about the Enron debacle. If you look at the Enron debacle and you...
we haven't picked up food yet, but we'll take a look.
So, I don't know if
No, you're good.
Okay, so between 4 and 6 is happy hour. So draft beers will be half price.
Nice.
Wine. This is a group of appetizers that are half price during happy hour. And then with it being Thursday is half price poker night.
Okay, well I want to get another beer. And then I think for an appetizer, I definitely want to try these soft pretzel bites.
Sounds good. Perfect.
So, you want a
You
beer
with
as
that?
well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so where were we?
Bernie Madoff. And the smartest man in the room.
Okay, so
editing's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. so there's a documentary that was done. It's called The Smartest Man in the Room. The Smartest Man in the Room, right? And it's basically around the Enron scandal. If you look at what happened with Enron and you overlay that with FTX, it's the same damn thing, right? It looks a little different. FTX is a little creepier with the whole sexcapades and everything else, but you know, at least Ken Skilling and those guys, they weren't doing that crap. But really, you know, you're going to see bad actors in every disruptive technology. In every single technology that comes out, you're going to see bad players, and that's just the way it is. So let's flesh them out. Let's get them out. You know, I can tell you, you know, as far as my respect for CZ, always kind of.
Oh, that was so interesting.
Yeah,
too.
it was interesting.
Yeah.
So we may end up owing him a great service because of what he did.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
He definitely identified it and then literally like he literally ripped it to light. It was like, oh, I'm just gonna rip this right to the top surface. And it was crazy, like that like 24-hour period where like it was like, oh, Binance is gonna buy FTX. Okay. And then it was like, wait,
psych.
No, yeah, psych. Oh, guess what? We just aired out your dirty laundry.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was definitely crazy.
I think what it comes down to, like, and I put my tinfoil hat on here, but I think that what, you know, you can. I'm not going to fall down the rabbit hole of the FTX because that you could be there for a while. It's funny because I was telling you earlier, my wife comes in to me and I'm sitting on the couch watching TV and she's like, "Hey, this whole FTX thing, are you okay with it?" Are you okay? God, yes, honey. I wouldn't get into FTX. We're fine. Everything's good. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of people that got wrecked. And honestly, they put a lot of trust. They over leveraged.
Well, I think you had even said earlier, like the whole FTX thing brings us back to our roots and forces us backwards, and it's like the value of owning your actual crypto, and where you're mining to or where you're investing. Like, feel free to invest in any cryptos you guys want out there, but don't just leave it on the exchange. You want to use the exchange for the whole purpose of it. You want to buy, and if you're not looking to sell anytime soon, transfer it to that storage which you're comfortable with and you own. And I think it almost is like we got too comfortable.
Absolutely.
And now what will occur now, as we all recognize, is like exchanges.
The mass exodus.
Exactly. And exchanges are going to go through some massive regulation moving forward after this,
so too.
Which is a good thing. And like I am okay with regulation at that point where I'm always like against it. Oh, thank you.
The worst words, thank you very much. The worst words, I think Ronald Reagan said it when he said, you know, the worst words you can hear is, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help." Right? They're not going to get it right. They're not going to get it right. But this is why DeFi, like true DeFi, like the way that DeFi, if you're running Sushi Swap or whatever fish swap that you're running, if you're running that on AWS, it's not DeFi, right? And it starts to push the points. Own your own crypto, not your keys, not your cheese. You know.
I think it also hits the nail on the head where, like, I know you push a lot watching some of the stuff that you do is like true decentralization. Yeah. Like that's the funny thing is like I think a lot of people are riding the whole crypto buzzword, decentralization buzzword. Yeah. But then when you look back on it, you're like, all right, is it truly decentralized? And like, somehow I got talking about decentralization last night. I went from Bitcoin to decentralization with my mother-in-law while she was doing dishes, and we were talking about it last night, and it was like really funny. Like afterwards, I walked away and I was like, "Wait, did I just talk to my mother-in-law about decentralization and why it's valuable versus traditional finance?"
Yeah, and here's the thing too that it's reality. Now you talk to your mom, and your mom's starting to engage, and she's starting to ask questions. I do the same thing with my mom. She asks questions. She's been following this FTX thing, like she loves the conspiracy theories to begin with, right? So
every day she's
wait a minute. They went to MIT and they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and
whose dad
was whose dad? His dad is this. Okay, so but in reality, we are 10 years away from basically a large wealth transfer as you get, your millennials into it, and they millennials understand crypto. Yeah. They're going to be the ones that are going to start guiding these pieces.
They are born into it. Like they don't know anything different. Yeah. They're like,
So I think we're getting to the point where you'll start to, they've already said Gen X and Gen Zs, will you buy crypto? Would you participate? They would rather do it than the stock market. Oh, that tells you something.
You're not wrong. I remember going back over 2 years ago. So before I got into it, I was at a family vacation home with a bunch of friends. We were doing a LAN party at a family vacation home down in South Jersey. Got a bunch of guys together. We were playing video games, hanging out, drinking beers, and when Dogecoin was like, oh, Dogecoin. And me and my cousin were like, oh, well, we have Robinhood's account. That's when Robinhood was like just taking off as in every day, like in every consumer type of thing. Yeah. And we were like, oh, here we go, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, hell yeah.
And we were like,
pretzel bites, people.
And we
pretzel bites.
That's right. And we were like, oh, let's buy $500 worth of Dogecoin each. So me and my cousin both did it.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. And this was like a while ago. And so I I doubled my money and was like, all right, I'm out. I cashed out type of deal. Well, my cousin held on to it, and we didn't know any different. We were just like, Elon Musk said, the sky is green, so we're going to believe it. So we bought it. Well, my cousin held on to it, and him and I tracked this a ton. It hit at peak 250 grand. Because what he did was he did 500, and then a week later.
Please tell me he sold.
No, he bought 500, and then a week later he bought 4,500 more. So he had 5 grand worth of Dogecoin. So he rode it to 250, and then dropped pretty quickly. He got out about 170, but still,
that's pretty.
Still, I told him after that, because I wanted to make sure he understood too, was like, this will never happen again. Yeah. You will never put 5 grand and walk away. It was 6 months. You will not walk away.
Kids that are listening to this, do not fuck with shit coins. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But
he has probably
it'll never happen again.
No, it's a good story for him and something he can tell his kids about someday. But in reality,
but it's so funny because he'd always hit me up and be like, "Hey, should I sell?" And I'm like, and I even told him, I was like, when it hit the top, I was like, even when it hit 100 grand, I was like, cash out half and then the rest just keep just let it ride. And because guess what? If it goes to 0, you still got the half type of deal. So yeah, it's always a good story, definitely.
Well. And going back to like people going through the first phase.
Oh my gosh.
They start to learn like what investors have known for years, and that is you take profit off the table, you let the rest ride. You have, you have ratchet points where you exit particular positions. And most people who are miners or investors, they're learning these processes for the first time. These are things that Wall Street has done for years that we're finally getting it into the hands of the common man. You look what happened with GameStop.
Oh my gosh, and AMC even, GameStop and AMC, oh my gosh.
Now they're linking FTX to that whole debacle as well.
Wow, I have not heard that one yet.
Yeah. So they're saying that the Terra Luna crash.
No way. All of a sudden now we got lines going everywhere.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the meme with Charlie from, it's got lines everywhere. That's kind of what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. You're right.
It definitely gives us something to talk about now in the bear market, because everybody's like,
and this doesn't even help. Like when you look at it, like earlier I listed off like the perfect storm items. Now I didn't even mention FTX. Now add that to the perfect storm situation. It's like, holy shit, like 2022 has been ridiculous when it comes to like the entire track record for crypto. And it definitely makes it rough as a home crypto miner. The one thing I would say that I've learned through all of it, which I wish I knew in the bull market, and you even said like, when you go through your first cycles, you'll learn things.
You'll pick these things up,
The one thing I tell people now is like, I wish I would have diversified more. And not necessarily from the crypto portfolio side, but more from a hardware side. So like now I'm picking up like ASICs for dirt cheap.
Oh yeah, they're all over because it's Facebook Marketplace. It was crazy.
I mean, I recently, my latest rendition is like some L3++s because HiveOS has firmware, you can bring them down so they don't use as many watts. I'm like, cool, let's go ahead and get some more Dogecoin, Litecoin available. But even on like the Bitcoin side, it's such a struggle now, because now it's like, okay, I have enough hardware that I really probably shouldn't be mining at home with all this types of stuff, but I still am. And it's like, I'm kind of glad we're in a bear market, because I would be buying up so much more. I mean, when I can get an S19J Pro for under 2 grand, it's like insanity. When it used to go for 15 grand. But what it's taught me is like, GPU mining is very unprofitable right now. Everybody knows that. But ASIC mining is still profitable, even with the high electric rates going on. So now as I go into my next bull market, whenever that will be, it will be like, okay, I can bite the bullet and buy that for 10 grand, because I know that long term, you're gonna have more value and profit from it. But like,
see, that's exact opposite way that it had been for many years, and that was you had to get in early and get that ASIC before because Bitmain has already been mining it for like 6 months.
Isn't that funny how people say that? Like they're like, oh, new ASICs have already been mined on. That's like the theory.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I know. I totally believe that. I totally believe that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I totally believe that, and I believe, like I saw, situationally, I've seen it myself. I stood in Roger Ver's, mining facility, and I saw that. There is, I guarantee they have a facility just like that they're mining before they distribute them.
It would be smart too.
They're testing it for you. They're breaking it in.
Like it would be. Well, you think about it, like manufacturers of automobiles. they're not making, there's no money for them to be made to manufacture the car and then drive it. Like there's no money with that because it instantly depreciates. But with money-making machines, whether it's GPUs, whether it's ASICs, it's like, well, you put it out there, you manufacture it, and it's like, why don't we even spend 30 days saying that we've tested it, which is that's like a great way to go ahead and QA your product. It's like, we QA all of our products. We run them for 30 days.
Yeah.
Well, no shit, but you also make the coin from that for 30 days. It's a win-win. Like, I don't blame them. It's not a bad practice to do. Because instead of being like, oh no, we're gonna QA 1 in every 1,000 and we run it for, 10 years, it's like, no, we're just gonna run them.
We used to have an ongoing joke. Anytime you knew there was a new ASIC coming out, you'd watch the hash rate increase. You know what I mean? Like,
because they're testing it.
They're testing it. Okay, oh yeah, but it's coming out. So, it's just kind of crazy. So I would say, like, if I had words of wisdom to people that are in the space right now, right, and even content creators. You can, when you create content or you develop in the down cycle, that content is still there in the up cycle. So you have established yourself as a staple to the entire environment. You made it through. So I would say anyone out there that's listening and they're seeing their numbers drop or they're seeing, they're barely mining at a profit or anything like that, gut it out because you'll become an OG on the other side of it. You know what I mean? So that and that's a big deal. With Flux, our community is rock solid. Like, we have very educated miners. We're not, the majority of the people that mine Flux or run nodes on Flux, I call them decentralized systems administrators, they know or have been through multiple cycles. So it's like, meh, you know what I mean? It's cool. We're fine. And I think we all need to be comfortable with the unknown. Because we got a little bit of that going on. And that's why we got into disruptive technology. That's why I get up every morning excited. First thing when my eyes open and I look down at my phone, I'm like going through Discord, seeing what's going on, right? That feeling of that disruptive technology, doing something different that's never been done before. Every single person that's in this space right now should have that feeling. I mean, so don't get down on yourself. Don't despair. It'll all come back around at some point. And I mean, this technology, if you look at the adoption curve of the internet, we're way beyond that. I mean, the parabolic cycle's here. So you have that adoption bell curve that goes like this. We're here. You know what I mean? We're not even the mainstream adoption yet.
That's true.
I'm waiting for Thanksgiving when everybody asks me about FTX. So that could be an interesting Thanksgiving.
So guys, we're going to end on that one. We've been going for a while now. This was a lot of fun. But stay tuned for part 2 because we're going to release part 2 where we're going to sit down with Dan in about 5 minutes, but it'll be about a week for you guys. And we're going to go ahead and ask him some questions that you guys went ahead and reached out on Twitter and also on YouTube. So if you enjoyed this content, give it a thumbs up. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and give this guy some love.
Give this guy some love.
Oh yeah, take care.
Thanks, guys.
The MeterBox is having a massive Black Friday sale starting Monday, November 21st and running all week through Friday, November 25th until 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can now run the same MeterBox that some of your favorite YouTubers use. There's no coupon code or link required. Some restrictions may apply. Visit their website, www.themeterbox.com, and get 50% off any MeterBox or 10% off any fully assembled MeterBoxes, which are easy as plug and play. Limited quantities are available at this price point, so head on over and grab yours today.